Let's talk about this horrific bill, this same-sex marriage bill, that thanks to people like somebody I voted for president a while ago, who's a senator from Utah, they made it possible, 12 Republican senators, that this bill could pass. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's disheartening. It's discouraging. It's kind of infuriating, too, because it's bad enough that 12 members of the United States Senate would grant themselves the power to redefine a word. It's infuriating that it would be Republicans, who are supposed to be conservative, many of whom say that they're Christian, who are supposed to stand up for family values. Listen, I know that the left tries to paint this as, oh, Republicans are bigots. Republicans and conservatives are homophobic.
That's all they have.
They hate the gay people.
That's all they have.
Everyone knows that's not true.
Well, of course.
Every Christian knows that's not true. I've never met a Christian who is actually homophobic. Our problem with this bill is as follows. First of all, even putting same-sex attraction and the idea of same-sex relationships aside for a second, if you can, for this bill, when the government grants themselves the authority, politicians grant themselves the authority to redefine a word that describes an institution that existed long before our government, long before the United States Senate, long before the U.S. House of Representatives. What they're doing is they're giving themselves the power to be arbiters of what's quote unquote true. And if we have a panel or a group or a Congress of people who are the arbiters of truth, then they have granted themselves the power to be authoritarian. That's
really
dangerous.
That sums it up, but again, we were talking about this before. For me, it comes increasingly down to it is a war on reality and truth, which is ultimately a war on God. They want to deconstruct God's reality. God created men and women. If you're any kind of a Christian, you can read in the first few pages of the scripture, it couldn't be clearer. We could all do blood tests and find out, am I a man or a woman? There's no third thing. You're one or the other. It's a fundamental part of reality.
It is.
And for politicians, I mean, it's, you expect the Supreme Court with things like Roe v. Wade to twist, but when politicians of all people participate in trying to redefine fundamental human concepts, historical concepts, most people are not down with that.
It's an Orwellian road. The other thing that I would ask Republicans is, what are you afraid of at this point? Are you afraid of being called homophobic? Are you afraid of being falsely accused, of being intolerant? Because literally the President of the United States in his Gates of Hell speech, the one I'm talking about, where he had those red lights and those columns, he essentially said that anyone who didn't support him is a domestic terrorist and extremist. Like, sticks and stones, people. It's okay to say that marriage is between one man and one woman. You shouldn't be afraid as a politician of saying that. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who's willing to fight the culture war. The left deliberately targets the institution of marriage and the nuclear family because they know that without marriage and without the family, then our free society will fall and it will be easy for them to slide Marxism in. It's not a civil rights issue either. I know that there were talking points from the left that said, oh, Mitch McConnell voted against this bill that would have protected his interracial marriage to Elaine Chao. No. That's not true at all.
Excuse me, cue horse laugh here. I mean, that is so...
It's so absurd.
It's worse than absurd.
It's insulting,
it's
really. It's
unbelievably stupid. It's like the highest level of stupid I've heard in a long time. The idea that interracial marriage is even discussed, like, it's hilarious to me that they would pull this out to... I mean, I don't want to think about Mitch McConnell, but the point is, it's an interspecies marriage because she's no kind of turtle that I've ever seen. But I want to say that what we're really dealing with, Liz, is it's religious liberty. In other words, it's one thing for somebody to make the case and to say, like, well, I should be able to do what I want in my house or my bedroom, whatever. I think most Americans would say, yes, even if I don't agree with what you're doing, it's a free country. But when you then take that and say, we're going to impose this view on every single American by law, you're messing with everything, because then those who don't believe that, which is most people, certainly anybody who's any kind of an Orthodox Christian, is going to say, sorry, we can't go along with that. Now the government can persecute people with a biblical worldview, which is the
going
same,
to happen.
which of course, and it's the same as the establishment of a religion. In other words, you're establishing a religion that doesn't call itself a religion, which is basically a secular, humanist, pansexual view of reality, which is a religion, and you're saying to those who don't bow the knee to Baal or bow the knee to whatever, give a pinch of incense to Caesar, you're saying to them, we're going to come after you with the U.S. government, with the law, with the power of the government.
And the government has incentive to recognize marriage between a man and a woman, right? Because we need children. That's how children are begot. We need children for the future of our country. That's not the same with some kind of relationship between two people of the same sex. There is no governmental incentive for them to do that. So it's only an ideological, it's virtue signaling, but it's worse because it harms religious people and it harms the institution of marriage, therefore harming our country. It's devastating that these 12 Republicans caved.